Hi, I'm Kelly McCarthy from WRCB Channel 3 News. I'm here now with Rick Tyler, congressional candidate. Rick Tyler is the man behind the Make America White Again campaigns, and he's joining us now for a live interview. We wanted to make sure this was live for you all to see as of right now. So let me just get this focused on you. Now, Mr. Tyler, talk to me a little bit about your decision to create billboards, one of which that said Make America White Again.
Well, I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives here in the 3rd District, and one of the challenges that I face is overcoming a lack of name recognition. And I'm a believer in truth, regardless of how controversial it might be. And I understand that in the America that we live in today, that people have been conditioned, like the Pavlovian dog of the textbooks, to react emotionally to certain things, and often in an uncontrolled, frenzied fashion, unfortunately. But when I designed the Make America White Again billboard, it was specifically to engender in people's minds a thought process that would take them back to, let's say, the 1960s. I call it the Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet, Mayberry America. And some might call it the Norman Rockwell America. I and many, many, many millions of others believe that that was a better America. We believe that it was an America where you didn't have to lock your doors. You didn't have to worry about carjackings and home invasions. You didn't have to worry about Muslim sleeper cells down the street. You didn't have to worry about Islamic mosques radicalizing people. It was an America that was far superior to the America that we live in today. And, not coincidentally, it was an America whose demographic was 85% plus Caucasian. Now, I like to point to Japan, for instance. It's overwhelmingly Japanese, and that's their strength. And America's strength was having a white supermajority. It was inculcated into our laws, in fact, up until 1965. Since 65, in the 50 years that have ensued, 70 million, roughly, non-whites have come into the country through legal and illegal methods. And now the demographic has changed to the point where the Caucasian people are somewhere down around 60%. And by the way, nobody was canvassed back in 1965. Nobody was asked, hey, is this okay if we change the demographic in America to where you folks are going to be the minority in 50 years? If they had taken a vote at that time, obviously it would have been overwhelmingly defeated.
Now, going as far as putting billboards up around town with that message, why did you decide to do that, and what was the reaction you were expecting to get?
Well, I was expecting, unless there was some type of sophisticated tampering with the algorithms, I was expecting it to do exactly what it has done. I was expecting it to go viral, to spread far and wide, because that's the nature of the beast today in the age of social media. The reason I put it up was simply, first of all, because it is a truth. I like to say this picture's worth 1,000,000 words, not 1,000. But it is a truth that the demographic of America in 1965 was a very integral part of why that America was so much better than this America today. Today we have a clash of civilizations. We have a clash and conflict of cultures. And this isn't by accident. This is by design. The social engineers have deliberately orchestrated this phenomenon to our detriment and ultimately to our destruction if we don't do something about it. I'm posting the billboard simply to get people's attention, to compel them to think about something that they have been conditioned to not even dare think about. White people have something, unfortunately, we call white guilt, and we have to get them over that.
Now, are you hoping with this billboard and the conversation it's creating, the controversy, are you hoping that it's all for the benefit of your congressional campaign?
Well, it can't all be for the benefit because, we live in a very divided country. We live in a red and blue nation now. We live in a country that is roughly evenly divided between liberal and conservative. And so there's no way that doing something like what I'm doing can all accrue to my benefit in a surface level sense. Now, I believe I'm a biblical student, and I believe Romans 8:28, it says all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. And I certainly believe that even the attacks, even the detractors, they will play into what is favorable. They already have, whether they know it or not. Because by participating in this counter-revolutionary exercise that we're involved in right now, by the way, it's historically unprecedented. This has never happened in the history of American politics. By participating in this, they are helping, and I do thank them for that. And along the way, I think probably a fair amount of them will be educated, and they may not be quite as strident in their opposition to truth.
Now, when people, some people have voiced concerns and opinions to us, our Facebook page, on social media, saying that a billboard like this is racist, and it's offensive to many people. What's your take on that?
Well, in this ridiculous time we're living in, pardon me while I try not to laugh, we're living in this time where, for instance, young people who go away to university, they have to have safe spaces. And, when you contrast them with the 18-year-olds that stormed the beaches of Normandy, it's laughable. It's pathetic. As far as things being offensive, hey, get over it. The world is offensive. There are things that offend me that I don't go out of my way and get worked up into a lather about, because I understand that A, I can't control everything, and B, there just simply aren't enough hours in the day for me to try to be the individual who goes around rectifying all of the wrongs of this world, or the perceived wrongs. As far as the putting up of a billboard like this, this is First Amendment 101. Free speech is a bedrock, foundational right of this country. Without the First Amendment, and of course the Second Amendment and all the other amendments, which unfortunately they're all being ignored now. But without these amendments, we wouldn't have an America. We would have never, come to this point that we're at right now. And there is great ignorance in the land today, unfortunately, disproportionately among young people who, ironically, they fancy themselves to be very well informed, but they're not. They're ignorant of these things. And they're attacking the First Amendment, instead of realizing that, hey, the First Amendment is there for all of us. The free marketplace of ideas is where we discourse about things, and through debate and discourse, the truth wins out.
So for minority groups, people living in this community who don't like seeing a billboard that says "Make America White Again," what would you have to say for that?
Well, I don't like Black History Month being forced down my throat, especially when all of the inventions that are attributed to black inventors turn out to be falsification of information. But I don't try to tell them they can't say what they're saying. I don't try to eradicate their First Amendment right to free speech. As far as minorities who might be offended, of course, we're standing in a county that's 98.6% white, Polk County, Tennessee. And the social engineers don't like that. They are even working right now as we speak through federal housing programs and through federal subsidy to try to forcefully integrate communities such as this here in Polk County. And so, I don't approve of that. I have great objections to that. For those who might be offended, I would say to them that actually what I'm doing is in their best interest as well, because a strong America, an America that has been resuscitated and revived and restored to its former greatness, will benefit everybody, including people who aren't white.
And talk to me now, obviously behind us the billboard is no longer up. What happened there?
Well, when the billboard first went up, it very quickly, immediately, it generated incredible interest, and people were posing for pictures in front of it, and I got lots of communication. And in fact, even the owner of the billboard contacted me and was very, pleasant, and said he'd already gotten 5 calls, and 4 of them were voting for me. However, the owner's wife became disgruntled and I believe fearful, and again, I didn't witness this with my own 2 eyes, but I was told that at about 1:30 last night that she came here with somebody who was qualified to take the sign down, and in violation of the civil contract for the billboard took it down. And my vinyl is missing in action right now. I haven't been contacted. I don't know where it is, whether it's been stolen or not, but we're looking into that, have filed a police report. But at any rate, that's my understanding of what transpired. I myself viewed it at midnight. It was still up. When I came back up after getting those reports at about 2 a.m., it was gone.
Would you like to see the billboard back up?
Oh, of course. If I could, I'd have hundreds of these billboards up all over the 3rd District. Because I believe everywhere this billboard goes up, there is going to be a twin phenomena, or twin phenomena, I might say. Obviously, there's going to be the visceral, hostile reaction against it. That's a knee-jerk, Pavlovian dog response for the most part. But there's also going to be that sleeping giant that is exhilarated. They are thrilled that somebody has the backbone, has the intestinal fortitude to proclaim a truth which should not be offensive to anybody. I mean, this is a truth that 50 years ago was completely status quo, commonplace. The truth hasn't changed. America has changed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tyler. We'll have more on this interview and this story coming up tonight at 5 and 6.